Ever since Abraham, peace be upon him, was guided to the site of the house and authorized to rebuild it, Allah the Almighty ordered him to cleanse it from all manifestations of shirk, idols, filth, and defilements, both sensual and moral. Throughout the ages, Muslims have attached great care to the affairs of the two holy mosques. Glory be to God, He has made His holy house a safe sanctuary and a means of support for people. They visit it over and over, yet they crave more. The hearts of the lovers of this holy house are ever attached to it. Whenever it's mentioned, they yearn. Whenever they miss it, they grow fonder. By the grace of Allah, the lands of the two holy mosques are the places most favored, honored, and highly esteemed by all Muslims, ever since Prophet Abraham made his first call for Hajj on these lands and until the end of time. Based on royal directives and guided by the Quranic injunction, "And sanctify my house," the general presidency of the affairs of the Holy Mosque and the Prophet's mosques provides the best services to visitors. The Department of Cleaning and Furnishing of the Holy Mosque is especially keen to keep these prime services around the clock. The use of high-tech programs, equipment, and machinery that best suit the nature of the work in the vicinity of the Holy Mosque attests to the optimum management that supervises and follows up the cleaning and furnishing of the Holy Mosque. Serving the crowds of pilgrims gathered in one place at one time requires an effort characterized with precise planning and close supervision. Therefore, the Cleaning and Furnishing Department employs a team of trained personnel. The tasks are currently undertaken by more than 200 official and seasonal employees who work under the presidency. In addition, there are more than 2,700 workers, 260 controllers, and 100 supervisors, male and female, who work under the operating contractor. They work in 4 shifts to provide 24/7 coverage. A fleet of 40 vehicles, 120 waste carriers, and 60 washers have been provided by the General Presidency to serve the Holy Mosque and its piazzas. The efforts of the Cleaning and Furnishing Department, including washing, furnishing, garbage collection, polishing, and scenting, can be highlighted in the following scheduled tasks. The Holy Mosque at Makkah is washed 4 times a day, starting with the Tawaf and Sa'i areas, Mount Safa, and the piazzas, the Wudu and Zamzam water areas, and around 14,000 WCs are disinfected 4 times a day. Despite the huge crowds of visitors around the clock in Ramadan and during Hajj season, the cleaning does not stop. The work is efficiently performed without affecting the pilgrims. The entire Tawaf area is fully and proficiently washed in less than 30 minutes. Marble floors, entrances to the sacred mosque, bridges, minarets, stairs, doors, facades, and columns are thoroughly washed. Drains are cleaned. Disinfectants and pesticides are sprayed. Currently, the area regularly washed in the Holy Mosque and its precincts totals nearly 700,000 square meters. This area will double after the new expansion, up to 1.8 million square meters.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Wednesday's episode of Ask Eman, where we're going to be here for the next hour, brothers and sisters, as usual, to take your questions and get them answered by our Imam today, authentically according to the Quran and Sunnah. So the numbers call us on is 0203 5150 769. That's 0203 5150 769. Otherwise, you can send your questions to our WhatsApp number, email address. And if you're watching us on social media, on the live stream, then you're able to leave your questions at the comment section, inshallah. So without further ado, I'll be your host for today, and joining us is Imam Wasim Kempson. Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh. How are you today?
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm very well.
How's your Ramadan, Shaykh? How's your Eid?
Wallahi, it's very nice, alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
Jazakallah. Yourself?
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah. You're very busy, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure you were as well, Shaykh.
We all were, mashallah.
How did your Ramadan, Shaykh, this year compare to last time, like the one before, in terms of better or not?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
You look back on it and have good memories, good thoughts about it.
Yeah.
It's always a special time for us as Muslims. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's like anything, it's not that you've done something, you forget about it. You know, you're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept what you did before. And there's many acts of worship that when you finish, you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness. You know, when you finish your salah, you say, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. It's not about being arrogant, oh, look what I did. You know, you're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept what you did. So this is something we continue with, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept from us.
Thank you, Shaykh. Now, Shaykh, after Ramadan finishes, the 6 days of Shawwal, we start to hear a lot about them. We start being reminded of the opportunity to be able to fast the 6 days of Shawwal. Now, these days, Shaykh, are they days that we need to take very seriously? Are they very important, or are they something we take more casually, do them or don't do them, doesn't make a difference? Yeah. Where should we put them? Because, many of us would probably feel a bit fatigued from Ramadan, and the last thing we want to do is fast again for another number of days. Or maybe some of us are very keen and ready. So what do you have to say to us about that, Shaykh?
طيب, Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu rasulillah wa ba'd. So on this issue, we know that the obligatory fasts that upon Muslims is Ramadan, and that's it. Now throughout the year there are many optional fasts that we can participate in, whether it's a Monday and a Thursday, or whether it's the 3 white days in the month, 13, 14, 15 for each month, or Ashura, fasting 10, 11, or 9 and 10 of Muharram, or fasting also the days of day of Arafah for those who are not fasting, who are not performing their Hajj, and the days leading up of Dhul Hijjah. These are all recommended days for us to fast if one has the ability to do so. And attached to that is also the 6 days of Shawwal. All of those, what I mentioned previously, are authentically narrated to us by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And anything that is narrated to us is authentic, then no doubt is part of his sunnah. It's something that he practiced, alayhi salatu wasalam.
Alayhi salam.
So, yes, it's not an obligation. No, it's not. It's not a must. You're not sinful if you don't do it. But it's good. It's recommended. The Prophet ﷺ recommended us to do that. And as Abu Ayyub al-Ansari, radiallahu anhu, who's the narrator of the hadith, also, of course, narrating the hadith in that it is something recommended to do. There's two ways of looking at it. While you fast the 30 days and you're in the shape for fasting, some of those the day after Eid want to start it straight away, so it's easier for them. No problem, you can do that. You don't have to do it all together. You can do it on and off throughout the month as you like. 2, 2, 2. Like have a few days off in each one, or 3 and 3, or all 6 together as you like. And there are others who I fasted for 30 days. I want a bit of a rest for a week. Nothing mushkila. So you can do it any time within the month of Shawwal. And if you have any days remaining from Ramadan, you should finish those first. And then you can perform, or you can start fasting the Shawwal. Wallahu a'lam.
Thank you, Shaykh. That brings us to our break now. So when we're back, we'll go, inshallah, maybe into some of the fasting a bit more. So thank you so much, Shaykh, for your answer. For everyone watching at home, we're going to take a short break for a few minutes as usual. Then we'll be back to continue with our show afterwards. When we're back, you're very welcome to pick up the phone and dial 0203 515 0769 to give us a call to ask your questions. Otherwise, during the break, you can send us your questions on WhatsApp or email. Also, we just want to remind everyone that we've changed over now to channel 757 as of today, so let your friends and family know, inshallah. Thank you so much. Stay tuned. Wassalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters. Welcome back to today's Ask Eman show. We're going to be here for another 45 minutes. So if you have any questions, then you're able to give us a call and ask them, inshallah. So today we're covering the month of Shawwal because we're in the month of Shawwal and we have the blessed 6 days of Shawwal to be fasting. So if you'd like to ask any questions about this, then you're welcome to do so. If you'd like to ask questions about anything else, then you're welcome to do that as well. The numbers to call us on is 0203 515 0769. And also we just want to remind you that we've changed over to channel 757 and we'd like you to spread the news to your friends and family. If you're watching on your TV right now, then obviously you're on channel 757. But for those of your friends and family and anyone else you know who may not know about the move, then please let them know, inshallah. And if you're watching along on YouTube, then please let everyone know as well that we've moved to channel 757. Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh. Welcome back after the break. So, Shaykh, I wanted to ask you about the 6 days of Shawwal. Are we able to fast these through the entire year, or is it specific to the month of Shawwal?
So, the hadith mentions there are 6 days that can be fasted in the month of Shawwal. The Prophet ﷺ said, whoever fasts the month of Ramadan then follows it up with 6 in Shawwal, it is as though that they have fasted the whole year. So the 6 days are, if they intend to get the reward of the whole year, then they fast them in Shawwal. But if that's too much for some, and it can be, if you fast 3 days of every month, then you get the reward of, because we know that our deeds are multiplied by at least 10. So if you fast 3 days, you multiply by 10, that's 30. So if a person fasts 3 days of every month, it is at the end of the year as though you fasted the whole year as well. So that's another opportunity for you as well. But the person wants the reward for what is mentioned in the hadith, then they would intend to finish them in the month of Shawwal. Wallahu a'lam.
Thank you, Shaykh. Our next question is from WhatsApp. Let me know if this question was asked yesterday, Shaykh. The question is, a sister is struggling after marriage. She is with a revert brother and he has not taken her to his parents yet. As a result, he is upset and it's frustrating her. She wanted to know what can she do in this situation.
So it's difficult really to advise because I don't know if there's a reason behind it or what kind of relationship he has in the first place with his parents. I'm not sure how that is. So, I mean, what I would say always at the beginning of marriage, there's always an adjustment period where you're getting used to each other's ways. And that can last up to 2 years to 5 years, depending on, and that might sound like a long time. In some senses, is it a long time? And other times, it's not so long. But the relationship that you have with your spouse is something that needs to be worked on all the time. And there are times when you need to demonstrate patience and understanding. So. What is always key and very important and helps a lot is communication, and he may have specific reasons concerning that. They may be justified, they may not be, but at the end it is what is more important is that you have a strong relationship with your husband. Of course, you want to have a relationship with other members of the family as well, but what is a priority, especially at the beginning of the marriage, is to have a strong relationship with your husband and don't allow other things to impact that. So by all means open the doors or avenues of communication to speak with him about these issues, and if he says not right now, then okay, fair enough. May not happen right now, maybe give it some time and maybe this is a good approach, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. Would like to return the salam to Abdus Salam Khan, Mu Sumi and Keith Lewis on and Salim on YouTube. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for tuning in. We'll move on to our questions from YouTube once we've taken our next call. So, assalamu alaikum to our caller. Welcome to the show. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sister Halima calling from London.
Welcome to the show, sister. And your question?
Yes, my question is about, when a sister is paying back the days you ate in Ramadan.
Yes.
Do you get the same rewards for the good deeds? Are they multiplied the way they would have been in Ramadan? For example, if you read Surah Ikhlas in Ramadan 3 times, is equivalent to reading the whole Quran, and so on. Is that the same if you do it when you're repaying your day?
Understood. Do you have any more questions for us today?
No, that's it.
Thank you for your call, sister. May Allah reward you. For everyone else watching at home, you can also give us a call to ask your questions. The number should be coming and going at the bottom left side of your screen, inshallah. So Sister Halima asked, do you get the same reward of fasting in Ramadan for the days which you have to make up for a woman after the month of Ramadan has passed?
No doubt, Ramadan is a special time in that there are certain things that the Prophet ﷺ informed us of, like the gates of Jannah being opened and the gates of the hellfire being closed, and that there are certain acts which are specifically done in that, which we hope will be an expiation for our sins by fasting the month with Eman and seeking Allah's reward. But also, we must remember that maybe all of us are able to fulfill or to complete all of the fasts, especially the sisters. Is there a hadith that says you get the same reward? Listen, with issues like this, in terms of do you get the same reward or a greater reward, Allahu A'lam. I'm not the one who rewards. Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala is the one who rewards. And if a person has a legitimate reason for not being able to do something, then Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala will not shortchange anybody in their worship. You must understand that. So if you are unable to fast due to monthly cycle or due to travel or illness or something like that, you have a legitimate excuse, then your reward is with Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, and then when you fulfill your obligations, you ask Allah Azza wa Jal for the best reward. Allahu Ta'ala Alam.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. So I'll go now to our questions on YouTube. Our first question on YouTube for today is, can I do fasting for 6 days in Shawwal, but I missed one fast in Ramadan?
Yeah, so what seems to be a stronger view is that you should complete the days that are owed to Ramadan before you start Shawwal. So if you've got any days that are remaining from Ramadan, you should complete them first, and it's only one day, so do that first, inshallah ta'ala, and then start the days of Shawwal. Wallahu ta'ala alam.
Thank you, Shaykh. Our next question from YouTube is, when I make up my 5 missed days during Ramadan, can those days also count as Shawwal, or are they separate?
Yeah. Now, because there are times when we can, within our intention, join 2 acts of ibadah. When one is generalized, and it can be anything, and another one is specific, then you can do that, like Tahiyatul Masjid. The Tahiyatul Masjid is the welcome of the masjid. That's not specific as to which type of salah, but can be any. So if you entered the masjid for Fajr and you wanted to pray 2 sunnah for Fajr and intended Tahiyatul Masjid, that's fine. However, the 6 of Shawwal are specifically noted as something separate. So therefore, if you've got days that are owing for Ramadan, then they would be done separately. You intend the obligatory fasts first, and then after that you intend to do the Shawwal after. You don't join them with one intention. No.
Thank you, Shaykh. Our next question is, Assalamu alaikum, is it permissible to pray Isha prayer early, for example 1 hour after Maghrib prayer? Jazakallah khair.
Well, any of the prayers have to be prayed within their time. They can't be prayed early, and they shouldn't be prayed late either. So if you want to pray Salat al-Isha maybe before the Jama'ah in the masjid for whatever reason, but the time of Isha has entered, then by all means you can pray Salat al-Isha at that time, but not before the time of Isha has actually entered, because that will be Maghrib time, and we don't pray Isha at Maghrib time. No. Wallahu a'lam.
Thank you, Shaykh. Our next question is, can someone who follows the Hanafi madhab pray Asr behind an Imam who prays at the first time for Asr? Is the ruling the same if you have heard the Asr adhan at the first time in the masjid or not?
So I've asked some of our Hanafi scholars on this issue, and that is obviously the well-known view of the Hanafi is that Salat al-Asr is prayed at 2 mithls, so this is a little bit later than the other scholars. If somebody happens to pass a Jama'ah and they're offering it, it is allowed for him or her to join that Jama'ah, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is best.
Thank you, Shaykh. We have a caller, so we're going to go to our caller quickly before our break, and then maybe we'll answer the question after the break, inshallah. So, assalamu alaikum to our caller. Welcome to the show. What's your name and what's your question for us today?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I just found, I want to know the ruling. If someone finds something valuable, like a chain, a golden chain, on the streets in the UK, what shall I do with it? And because I know it doesn't belong to me. It's a general chain, so it's hard to ask. I don't know. Can the Shaykh please tell me, because I know it's amana. Jazakallah khair.
Well, thank you for calling. Jazakallah khair. So, Shaykh, we have about 30 seconds if you think it's enough.
Inshallah, it's enough. So if you find a gold chain, and gold chain is something quite valuable.
Yeah.
So something like this, you should hand it in to somewhere like a police station, where somebody can actually go back to find it. So that's what you should. If you find something valuable like this, you hand it into a police station. Wallahu a'lam, you don't keep it.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. And does the ruling differ if it's in the UK or
UK,
another
wherever
country?
Islam is applicable everywhere, alhamdulillah. Whether in the UK or Spain or India, wherever you are, it's the same ruling, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. Okay, so that brings us to the end of this part of our show. We're going to take a short break and then we'll be back to continue our questions from YouTube, from our calls and from our WhatsApp, inshallah, and also our email. For now, stay tuned. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Ask Eman Live. We're going to be here inshallah until 8:30 to take your questions, brothers and sisters, and get them answered for you by our Shaykh today. So if you have any questions, give us a call on 0203 5150 769. Otherwise, you can send us your questions on YouTube if you're watching along on YouTube, on our WhatsApp number or on our email address. You'll find all of these details coming and going at the bottom left side of your screen, inshallah. So we're going to continue with our questions from YouTube, inshallah, Shaykh. And the next question is, our next question, Shaykh, is our Assalamu alaikum. Can I make my child a professional in archery, wrestling and swimming?
Can you make them professional?
Yeah, like professionals.
Well, I mean, you become a professional if you're good enough. I mean, you can encourage them into archery and swimming and wrestling. Yeah, it's good to do that, but whether they'll reach to become the level of a professional, then may Allah will give that to them if that's good for them, inshallah ta'ala. But yeah, you can encourage them to do things like this, to be active. It's very important. Yeah.
It's very just to think to speak about this level of being professional in sports, Sheikh. It's very exhausting. It's a hard life because you're competing at such a level where you're trying to be the best. And these people, they nothing to do with the question. Yeah. These people, subhanAllah, they commit their full life to it. It's a full lifestyle, 24/7 of what you eat, to what you do, because it's like all your actions matter when it comes to that competing. Do you know what I mean, Sheikh? To that level of competition.
If you want to perform at the very top of any sport or any profession, then there's a big part of that is making a sacrifice. And putting a lot of your time into that, what you're focusing on, whether it's a sport or whether it's a profession, and bear in mind that this earth has more than 7 billion people, and you're not alone in wanting to be the very best. So there's hundreds, if not thousands, maybe millions of people who want to become the best. Not everybody can be the best, but whatever you do. The Prophet ﷺ told us that whatever you do, then try your best to reach your particular, whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to you in terms of ability, that you reach that. But bear in mind that whatever you do, whether it's sport or otherwise, or what other profession it is, that it doesn't detract or take you away from what is a priority and the most important thing that you want to excel in. And that's becoming, a servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to excel in that 100%. And maybe they can go hand in hand, they can help you. So, you should bear these things in mind.
Thank you, Shaykh. Jazakallah khair. Our next question is, Assalamu alaikum. What to do when you feel like you have not made the most of Ramadan?
Yeah, I mean, if you feel that you haven't made the most of Ramadan, then, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for acceptance. He accepts what you did and forgive you what you fell short in. And to move on and to improve for the future. Ask Allah Azza wa Jal to give you another Ramadan, or many more Ramadans. And in the meantime, while it's coming up to Ramadan, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help you, to bless you, to accept anything that you do. Not to remain stagnant and to feel so much regret that you don't move on. Look back in the past and benefit from it, and so that you can improve, inshallah ta'ala.
Thank you, Shaykh. We'll go to our next caller now. Assalamu alaikum to our caller. Welcome to the show. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Alaikum. I'm calling from London. I have 3 questions for the Shaykh, please. The first one is regarding the Shawwal fast. I'm not sure if this has been asked before, but I wanted to know if it's okay under any circumstances to do the Shawwal fast first and then to make up the Ramadan fast that have been missed. I mean, personally, I just feel like because I have quite a few fasts to make up, I don't want the time to pass and then me not be able to fast Shawwal and reap the rewards of the Shawwal fast. So is it okay under any circumstances to do them before the Ramadan ones, and then if I can just do the Ramadan ones slowly like afterwards.
Okay.
The second question is regarding the timetables that we follow for the start of prayer times during the day. Is it okay to pray right like that minute that has been stated that this is the time of prayer, this is the start time of this prayer, or is it better to wait a little while and then pray? And the third question is, what can the Shaykh advise for, like, if really, because I'm really struggling after Ramadan to continue doing acts of worship that I was doing in Ramadan, and I'm just like, yes, I'm just basically struggling with things like reading the Quran and, you know, praying the way I was in Ramadan. So, what can the Shaykh advise in this like situation?
Thank you for your call, sister. Stay tuned and we'll put these forward to the Shaykh, inshallah. Jazakallah khair. For everyone else watching at home, you can give us a call on 0203 5150 769. You'll find this number coming and going at the bottom left side of your screen. We also want to remind you that we've moved now to channel 757. If you're watching along on your TV right now, then you're on channel 757. But please do let your friends and family know that may follow Eman channel or watch Eman channel that we've moved our channel to 757. Also, for everyone watching on YouTube right now, if you watch us on TV sometimes, then please, next time you do, go on Sky 757. Thank you so much. The sister asked a few questions, Sheikh. First was, is there an exception for Shawwal when it comes to fasting, when it comes to what you prioritize for a lady, whether it's the Ramadan fasts or the 6 days of Shawwal?
Okay, so I understand that, you know, some sisters will inevitably have days that they need to make up from Ramadan, and that may involve, when you add them together, let's say you know, a sister's cycle is what, 7 days or 10 days, automatically going to add 6 to that. So you're talking about fasting another half month, which I understand after fasting one whole month can be viewed as it's a lot for me to do another half month again. However, what I would say is that what many of the scholars have mentioned is that really the days of Ramadan should be completed first, and then you fast the days of Shawwal. And again, I mentioned they don't have to be done consecutively right next to each other. They can be spread out throughout the month. And the reward is great, as you know. They get the reward of fasting the whole year. So that may involve a little bit of to get the reward of a whole year, mashallah, is a bit of sacrifice, and that sacrifice may differ for other people. So as long as there's enough days that within the month for you to make up your days that are missing, and as well as Shawwal, and may Allah make it easy for you. Really should do that. I can't say otherwise. Allah knows best.
Thank you, Sheikh. Sister's next question was, when it comes to prayer time, I imagine this applies to the sisters at the home. So when it comes to, at the home, wherever they may be, when it comes to the start times of the salah, can you pray immediately at the start time, or do you wait a few minutes? I imagine this is to allow time for the adhan wherever it's taking place.
Okay, so with regards to a timetable, we should understand that there is a great responsibility regarding prayer timetables, and that people's worship will be based upon that timetable. Therefore, every masjid who produces a timetable has to ensure that their prayer timetable is correct to the minute. If you're at home and Salat al-Dhuhr comes in at 1:01, when it hits 1:01, you can pray.
Okay.
You can pray straight away. There's no need for you to put any doubt. Let me just wait 2 minutes just in case. You should assume that prayer timetable is correct, and you can enter. When the prayer time is entered, you can pray straight away. And that's to do with all the prayers. Wallahu a'lam.
Okay, Sheikh. Yep. And the next question is advice for struggling after Ramadan to maintain those deeds or actions that you were able to do in Ramadan.
Okay, so a lot of it's to do with expectations. In the month of Ramadan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us a schedule in what we're going to do in the month, i.e. that we're going to fast every day. Allah gives us that schedule, and we adhere to that schedule, alhamdulillah. Now, after the month of Ramadan, maybe we don't put a schedule down for ourselves.
Yes.
And if you don't put a plan down, you don't put a schedule, what are you going to follow? So maybe that's a good thing for us to do.
Yeah.
So put an alarm on a Monday and a Thursday, or Mondays alone, or Thursdays alone, or the 3 days in the middle of the month. Okay, you know, it's unrealistic to expect we're going to do exactly what we did in Ramadan after Ramadan. There's peaks and troughs in our worship. There's up and there's down. You know, as long as we're fulfilling the obligations. So don't be hard on yourself and think, oh, I'm not doing what I did in Ramadan. All of us are not doing what we did in Ramadan. Okay, Subhanallah. Illa ma rahima rabba, except whom Allah has had enabled us to do that. But don't be hard on yourself. So remember, number one, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us a schedule, plan to follow. Maybe we need to do that. So maybe you set some targets for yourself on a daily basis or on a weekly basis. The targets don't have to be as big as that they are in Ramadan, maybe on a smaller scale. But at least it's something that you can continue doing, and that way you will feel, inshallah ta'ala, that you're making progress. Wallahu ta'ala alam.
Thank you, Shaykh. Jazakallah khair. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in so far. We're going to take a short break for a few minutes, and then we'll be back for the last part of our show. For now, stay tuned, and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to the last part of today's Ask Eman show. We're going to be here for another 10 minutes, inshallah. So if you have any questions, brothers and sisters, give us a call on 0203 5150 769. Our next question, Shaykh, is going to be from YouTube, and the question is
Seems to be a lot of comments on the YouTube.
yeah, they're all questions. Yeah. What's the ruling on hanging pictures, for example, your family and your Shaykh photo in your house where you pray and sit down to read Quran?
So we shouldn't hang pictures up of human beings, people, or things that have souls. You shouldn't hang those up. Yeah, pictures themselves. I mean, if you have them on your phone or something like this, then there's strong. A lot of the ulama have said that's permissible as long as there's abusing or there's some conditions concerning the photos, but not to hang them up. So you keep your photos on your devices or however you've kept them, but you should not hang them up. Allah.
Alhamdulillah. And Shaykh, what about never mind. So we'll move on to the next question. The question is, in India, the Imam raises his hands after every prayer and makes dua, and all the people behind the Imam raise their hands and say Ameen. Is this permissible? Because this what Rasul never did, alayhi salam.
So, trying to interpret the question, I mean, this doesn't happen everywhere in India, as far as I know. I mean, if it's an isolated incident, maybe one Imam is doing this. I'm just trying to think, I mean, there may be a reason for a qunut because of calamities that has befallen a Muslim community or place. It's allowed for the Imam to make qunut within the fard prayer. That may happen. That's something which is found.
And that's any fard prayer?
Yeah, well, again, that's another issue. Is it allowed in the quiet prayers,
okay,
or does it have to be in the louder prayers? I mean, this is
that's a different matter.
Discussion amongst the scholars. But I know that the Shafi'i madhab are more than other madhahib in encouraging this, and depending on what part of India that they're living in, especially on the western coast, where you find a lot of Indians who follow the Shafi'i madhab, in places like Kokon. This is all on the west coast of India. You find a lot of Shafi'is, so they may do that there. Whereas you find more inland of India, they may be more Hanafi. But this isn't something widespread. It may come across in the question, Allah knows best. This may be an isolated incident. Maybe there's a reason behind that, and Allah knows best.
Thank you, Shaykh. Shaykh, we answered the question earlier regarding is it permissible to pray Isha early, for example, an hour after Maghrib. We went through this question, right?
We answered it, yeah.
Okay, no, because we have Sandy Rahim saying, actually, no, I think yes, we missed the question. Okay,
we've been
told we missed the question, which is true. There's a question after it.
Oh,
okay, so the next question, Shaykh, is what should I do if I miss a Isha prayer, as it is getting later and later, and I tend to go to sleep around 10 to 10:30. So I guess for this reason, they wanted to know, can they pray earlier? So what if you miss it because of this?
Okay, so now my answer is specific to, it's not a general answer to everybody. We must bear in mind at this time, I'm talking about the UK now. At the moment, Salat al-Isha doesn't actually come in, doesn't actually start. Okay, because we have perpetual twilight from the 24th of May, and this continues up well into July. So if this sister is finding it difficult to stay awake until the timetable says that they're going to pray Salat al-Isha, then joining Maghrib with Isha every day, I think, is better to stay away from. But if at least she can leave a gap between Maghrib until she prays Isha. So the latest that you'll find Salat al-Maghrib coming in is about 9:20 something, maybe 9:30 here in the UK. It doesn't get any much later than that. If you can pray your Salat al-Isha maybe just before you go to bed, leave a gap between the two, then that's sufficient for you to do, inshallah.
Exactly.
And this is also, if I may say, applicable, and you can for the parents who have children who go to school, and they keep them maybe because the prayer timetable says Isha comes in at 11 o'clock. This is very late for the children. In circumstances such as this, where Salat al-Isha doesn't actually come in, if it can be convenient for them, they go to bed at a reasonable time. If they prayed their Maghrib and just wait a very short gap and then pray their Isha afterwards, then they can do that as well. Wallahu a'lam.
Thank you, Shaykh. If you don't mind me saying, Shaykh, many people may be watching and thinking, wow, what did you just say, Shaykh? Isha doesn't actually come in. What do you mean by that, Shaykh?
Okay. So, as we know that when the sun sets, okay, everything goes dark outside, and that's Isha time, okay, in very simplistic terms. However, in the a particular time during the summer here in the UK, because we're quite far north on the hemisphere, when you look at the globe, UK is quite high.
Yeah.
So in the summertime, you find our days are very long, okay, and Maghrib comes in at 9 something, 9:20, 9:30, and if you look on the horizon, you'll find that there's a perpetual twilight, where there's a continuous glow where the sun set. There's a glow there, so meaning the Isha doesn't actually come in, because the sun has to set completely and then goes completely black in the sky, and that's when you know Isha's coming. That doesn't actually happen here in the UK between the 24th of May and I think it's the 17th or 18th of July. I need to check the last date there. So between these two times, which is almost 2 months, there's a perpetual, continuous, what they call twilight. So Isha doesn't actually come in. So if Isha doesn't come in, when does Fajr come in? So the solution I just gave is a suitable one, inshallah ta'ala, that many of the scholars have mentioned in the UK. That if you can wait a little while, after you've prayed Salat al-Maghrib, then you can pray your Isha, then that's a valid solution, inshallah ta'ala, for you.
Thank you, Shaykh. Our next question is, I was really bad with my dad. I have scolded and hit him. I want forgiveness. He has passed away now, and I feel bad for what I did. Do I have forgiveness?
Subhanallah. I mean, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives all sins. As long as that person is sincere in their repentance. But what I would say, based on what you've described, then you need to be very, very repentant to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And also do as much as you can for your father as well, by making dua for him, asking Allah Azza wa Jal to forgive him, to grant him Jannah, to grant him ease in his grave, to set up some sadaqatun jariyah, a continuous charity for your father, whether that comes in a form of building a well in a different country, another country, or for example printing masahif, for example, in his name, and giving that to people, or giving some charity in the building of a masjid in your father's name. So really strive as much as you can for your father. May Allah have mercy upon him. So what has gone in the past has gone in the past. You feel regret, and now is the opportunity now for you to make up for that, inshallah ta'ala, in the way that I explained to you. May Allah forgive you and forgive us all.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. And now, when it comes to this topic, Shaykh, of parents and how we treat them and how we are towards them, what treatment is good enough for a person to feel like, what, I've done what I've had to, that pleases Allah, or at least meets something that is okay? Because generally, Shaykh, we all have our shortcomings towards our parents, more than shortcomings. Because I think we always take them for granted. They're always there. We never appreciate what they've done for us. We never understand the sacrifices and all these things. Maybe until you get much older. And the older you grow, the more you start thinking, wow, they're actually very special people.
Sure.
So what, Shaykh, is our obligation towards them? To be safe with Allah, first of all.
Yeah. So you should bear in mind, and know 100%, that you never reach a state where you've paid the debt back to your parents. That can never be done. You never reach that stage where you have, I've repaid and given back what my parents did for me while I was young. Alhamdulillah, we're all square now. Okay, everything is fine. What you did for me, Jazakumullah khair, and now I've repaid that by doing this for you and doing that for you. You, as children, we never reach that stage. Okay, so that's something we need to remember. So, based upon this. So we are continuously indebted to them. we can never pay it back, so then we do as much as we can. There's no point. A person should never say, well, I can never pay him back, so what's the point? No. You have to show Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you are willing to do as much as you can for them. And, you know, even a person just, you know, like sighing, which is a form of being disgruntled about doing something for your parents, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbids us from doing that. لا تقل لهما أف ولا تقل لهما أف, which is a form of like sighing or showing that you're dismayed or disgruntled about them. You can't do that even. So while they're alive, you serve them, and when they pass away, then you serve them by doing as much as you can, like I answered in the previous question. Allah Azza wa Jalla knows best.
Thank you so much, Shaykh. Thank you so much for answering questions, Shaykh, today. I think we've gone through everything on YouTube. We were able to answer most of our callers and our questions on Instagram, on WhatsApp, sorry. So thank you so much for joining us today, Shaykh. May Allah reward you. And thank you to everyone who's tuned in today. We're going to be back tomorrow at the same time, inshallah, at 7:30. If any callers that are waiting on the line right now, then please call back tomorrow at 7:30, inshallah, and you'll be able to get your question answered. Shaykh Wasim will be back, inshallah. For now, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.